Jasmine Crockett sat across from Piers Morgan on a crowded studio set that looked too small for the storm that had been brewing since she first walked in. She wore a simple blazer, hair pulled back neat. The only sign she wasn't here for pleasantries was the thick folder resting on her lap, edges dog-eared like it had been opened 1,000 times. Piers leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, that familiar grin spreading across his face, the one he used to make people believe he already knew the ending. He said, "Congresswoman Crockett, or should I say, soon-to-be courtroom star, you've been making headlines with this so-called defamation threat. Surely you're not serious." Jasmine didn't match his grin. She didn't even shift in her seat. Her voice was calm, soft enough that it forced everyone to listen twice. "I'm not here for threats, Piers. I'm here for accountability." The audience gave that polite, nervous laugh, the one that slips out when people know they're about to see something they can't unsee. Piers's eyebrow twitched, just once, but he caught it. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "Come on now, Jasmine. You can't sue someone for telling the truth." Jasmine tapped the folder with a single fingertip. "Is that what you think you did?" He laughed, brittle at the edges. "I think what I did was what every journalist does. I asked questions. I poked at the spin. It's called freedom of speech." She nodded, slow, never breaking his stare. "You're right. Freedom of speech protects you from the government silencing you. It doesn't protect you from consequences when you lie." The hush dropped like a curtain. The camera panned to a woman in the front row, wide-eyed, hands clenched around her purse strap. Piers's grin slipped, then snapped back. "So what's this magical figure I keep hearing? 90 million? Is that what my words are worth to you?" Jasmine flipped the folder open, paper edges scratching the mic. 93. "I came here tonight to show you exactly what that means." He snorted. "This is a stunt. You can't file a lawsuit on live TV." She didn't smile. "Watch me." Piers shifted in his chair, the first real crack in his forced laugh showing around the corners of his eyes. "You think you can scare me with papers and big numbers? This is a game, Jasmine. You're just playing for the cameras." Jasmine leaned in, elbows on the table now, voice still soft enough to hit like steel. "It's not a game when you lie about people's families. It's not a game when you twist their words into headlines that ruin their lives. It's not a game when you think your mic makes you untouchable." Piers opened his mouth, but she raised her hand, palm flat, and the hush pressed down so tight the front row leaned back without realizing they'd done it. She said, "You wanted the show. Here it is." The folder snapped open wide. The first page read in bold letters, "Crockett versus Morgan, defamation and emotional distress." The audience gasped. No clap, no forced cheer. Just that raw, sharp hush when people realize the spin is gone. Piers Morgan's grin fell apart at the edges as his eyes darted down to the bold print on the first page of Jasmine's folder. For a moment, he seemed ready to laugh it off, but the forced chuckle caught in his throat when he realized nobody in the room was laughing with him. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed tight now, like he was bracing for a storm he hadn't expected to blow up this close. "So what's this, Jasmine? A piece of paper and a big number? That's your idea of justice?" Jasmine didn't flinch. She flipped to the next page, the sound of the paper echoing off the studio walls like a slow drumbeat. "This is the sworn statement, Piers. The words you twisted. The names you dragged into your performance." Piers scoffed, a brittle bark of a laugh that bounced once before dying in the hush. "This is ridiculous. Do you know how many people come after me every year? How many threats I get? It's part of the job." Jasmine leaned forward so her voice cut through every inch of the room. "It's not part of my job to let you get away with it." A woman in the third row let out a quiet yes under her breath. Not a cheer, just that raw slip of relief when someone finally says what you wish you could say for yourself. Piers's fingers drummed the edge of his mug, too fast to look calm. "You think you're going to win? You think a court will side with you over me?" Jasmine's eyes narrowed, her tone still soft enough that every line felt like a warning. "This isn't about me. It's about the people who think you're telling them the truth when you're selling them a lie. The hush cracked around the edges, a few heads nodding, a few eyes darting to the cameras. Nobody dared look away. Piers shifted, voice rising sharp like he wanted to grab back control. So you're the savior now? The moral authority, ready to bankrupt anyone who disagrees with you. Jasmine closed the folder, laying her palm flat on the bold letters of her own name. I'm not here to bankrupt you, Piers. I'm here to make sure you know you're not bigger than the truth. His jaw twitched. And what if I don't care? You think I'm scared of a lawsuit? She didn't blink. No. I think you're scared of people seeing you squirm when the truth shows up. The front row leaned closer, the hush so tight it felt like the lights above the stage might flicker just to release it. Piers tried to pivot back, forcing the smirk that had carried him through 1,000 other blow-ups. You're doing this for attention. You love the cameras more than the people you pretend to protect. Jasmine's voice dropped even lower, the hush snapping around it like glass. I don't need attention, Piers. I need accountability. His laugh came out sharp, but his shoulders didn't lift with it. You think I'm just going to roll over? You're in my seat, Congresswoman. You don't tell me how this goes. She didn't break her stare. You don't get to decide how this ends. The truth does. A single clap cracked the back row, one, then two, then silence again. Piers shifted in his seat like he wanted to stand, but didn't know how. He said, So what now? You gonna serve me papers on live TV? Jasmine's hand slid the folder across the table. Slow, steady, final. Consider yourself served. Piers Morgan stared at the folder in front of him like it might bite. The camera caught his fingers twitching at the edge, tapping, pulling back, tapping again, but he didn't open it. The audience sat frozen, some leaning so far forward they'd forgotten to breathe. He forced a laugh, but it broke halfway out of his throat. You think a piece of paper and a number scare me? I've seen worse. I've heard worse. Jasmine Crockett didn't blink. Her voice was so soft the boom mic leaned closer just to catch it. This isn't about fear. It's about you finally answering for the damage you do when the lights go off. Piers scoffed, trying to push himself back into the smirk that always saved him. Come on, Jasmine. You're a congresswoman. You've got a career to think about. You really want to be the one dragging free speech through court. Her eyes narrowed, the hush cracking even deeper. Free speech is your right to speak, not your right to smear and hide. And you've been hiding behind that grin too long. A low murmur ran through the crowd. Someone whispered, She's right. Just loud enough to sting. Piers slammed his palm on the folder, leaning forward like he could stare her down. I'll fight this. You want a battle, you've got one. Jasmine didn't flinch. You don't scare me, Piers. You don't scare the truth. The hush popped at the edges, a single clap, then silence again. Piers's voice rose, cracking into something shrill. You think you're a hero? Filing a lawsuit on live TV? You think you'll win? She leaned closer, the calm making it land twice as hard. It's not about winning. It's about reminding people they don't have to sit quiet when someone like you lies about them. His eyes darted at the stage manager, looking for a bailout that wasn't coming. He barked, I built my career on saying what nobody else will. She didn't blink. And I'm building mine on proving you wrong. The hush turned into a low ripple, the kind of hush that says a crowd knows the spin is gone for good. Piers's laugh came out jagged. So what happens now? You walk out and hope the cameras make you look like the good guy? Jasmine's voice stayed soft. What happens now is you get to feel what it's like when your own words come back for you. He leaned back, trying to fold his arms like he was still in charge, but his fingers drummed on his bicep like the mask was slipping. She tapped the folder once, a sound that landed like a quiet gavel. You said you'd say anything for ratings. Let's see how that works when you're under oath. The front row gasped. No one clapped. No one laughed. Just that sharp hush that hit harder than any applause. Piers's eyes darted to the cameras, voice brittle. You're done here. Jasmine's smile didn't reach her eyes. No, Piers. You are. Piers Morgan's shoulders twitched like he wanted to stand, but couldn't find the balance to do it with dignity. He glanced at the folder again, still unopened, its bold letters staring up like a dare he wasn't ready to accept. The audience sat stone still, no forced laughter, no polite coughs to fill the silence. Just the steady, heavy quiet of people realizing they'd just watched the moment a man's spin finally cracked for good. Piers forced out a brittle laugh that came out half-swallowed. "This is a stunt, Congresswoman. Nothing more. You won't win. The press will tear you apart." Jasmine Crockett's eyes stayed locked on him. Her voice didn't rise, didn't waver. It just landed, word by word, like the truth he'd been dodging all night. "They can try, but the truth stands. And so will I." He barked out, "You're a politician, Jasmine. Don't act like you're better than me." She didn't even blink. "I'm not better. I'm just not afraid to fight you in the light." A soft gasp cracked the hush. A woman near the front row covered her mouth, her eyes flicking between them like she could feel every line cutting deeper than the last. Piers leaned forward again, voice cracking, trying to find the swagger that had carried him through decades. "You think you'll take me down? I've survived worse." Jasmine pressed her palm flat on the folder, a slow, steady gesture that made the stage lights feel twice as bright. "You've survived because nobody stood up and said enough." "I am." His laugh fell flat. "You're a headline now, and tomorrow they'll move on." Jasmine's eyes narrowed, her words landing so calm they felt sharp enough to leave a mark. "Tomorrow I'll still have the truth. You'll still have the noise." The hush broke at the edges, a slow ripple of people leaning back, some shaking their heads like they'd just watched a mask slide clean off. Piers's mouth twitched like he had one more shot left. But nothing came, just the echo of his own show turning on him in real time. Jasmine stood, her chair scraping the stage floor in a hush so sharp it made a few people flinch. She didn't look at the cameras. She didn't wait for the applause sign to flash. She just turned to the crowd, a sea of faces waiting for the punchline that never came. Never let the lie be louder than the truth. That's all I have to say. The hush snapped. A few people clapped, then a few more, not roaring but steady, real, the kind of applause that feels earned instead of forced. Piers sat frozen, hands flat on the desk, eyes darting to the folder like it was a snake coiled to strike. Jasmine didn't flinch, didn't wait. She walked out, head high, steps steady, and the hush turned into a slow murmur that would spread to every screen before the night was done. Some people spin the truth until it breaks. Some people stand up and file the one thing that spin can't outrun. And sometimes the loudest line you'll ever hear is just the sound of a lie cracking open, live, with nowhere left to hide.